Welcome back to another episode of the Cage Walk Podcast with Kayla, presented by OddSmoker MMA. Right now, I have MMA fighter Drake Pellegrin here with me. Thank you so much for joining me again. Do enjoy speaking to you. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me back. I appreciate it.
Of course. For those who saw our pre-fight interview that happened um, for this last card for Ragin, we're just going to dive a little more into depth with Drake. So let's start off with what got you in MMA.
So I started martial arts when I was 7. I didn't start MMA. I just started in traditional martial arts like point fighting, taekwondo style, stuff like that. And I started because I was a huge Kung Fu Panda fan and I wanted to be Kung Fu Panda as a kid. I think I was probably 4 or 5 when I started telling my mom that I was gonna I wanted to fight and I wanted to be like Kung Fu Panda. And it took me probably 3 years of bringing it up consistently before she brought me into a gym for the first time when I was 7. And I did that for a while. I did that for 7 years. Got a black belt in Taekwondo, and then got really interested in watching fights and training with my not really training, but like wrestling with my best friend at the time that I grew up with, and just kind of wanted to learn more about fighting, and that's kind of how I transitioned into MMA whenever I was about 14.
We've been doing this for quite some time then. That's
Yep,
awesome.
yep.
Um, you said you really got into fighting, watching fighting. Who was your first fighter that you were like, I want to be like him when I start fighting?
I don't know if there was a person that I wanted to replicate my fighting off of. I remember the first card I actually sat down and watched
Mhm.
like from start to finish was at that same best friend's house that I was talking about. It was Alexander Gustafsson's fight with Rumble Johnson in Sweden,
Okay.
and Rumble won by first round knockout. And we I remember watching the card and being locked in the entire time. And then I was at sleeping over at my buddy's house, and his dad went to bed. His uncle left because they had all come over to watch the fight, and him and I wrestled each other until 5 in the morning in the living room. So I was like, that's the moment where I was like, okay, this is like there's something here, you know.
Yeah. Wow.
Um, and at the time, he was bigger, stronger than me, and played football, and I just did taekwondo, so I didn't know how to grapple at all. So he was beating the crap out of me for probably 5 hours.
Not funny. I'm sure now it's funny, but I'm sure you're like, dang, what's going on?
Yeah.
Interesting story. I really love the Kung Fu Panda start to that's what
Yep.
really got you doing it.
Yep.
Because as a
Yep.
kid,
That's why I watch. That's why I walk out to the Douglas Kung Fu Fighting.
I love that. That was sure
Yep.
going to be one of my questions was why is that your walkout song?
Yep.
But there you go. What was I gonna say? I remember. Oh, the Kung Fu Panda. I personally love
Mhm.
Kung Fu Panda. I mean, I think we're around the same age-ish, so it's like my childhood movie as well. So
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely.
I had like 3 DVDs that I watched consistently. It was Avengers and Kung Fu Panda was on almost every night. So
That's funny. Now you have to get your kids. Well, I was gonna say kid, but now
Yep.
kids,
Yep. Now kids.
they're gonna have to watch some Kung Fu Panda as well. So
Absolutely.
I was totally gonna jump to that later on. This one thing about my podcast, I have like an itinerary, but we just go on conversations. And so congratulations, you are
Thank you.
expecting.
Yep.
I know that it's exciting. You have a son now, correct?
Yes, we have a son.
That's what I thought. I knew when I met him, I was, and then now things like, oh, I hope I did call him like, hey, little one, like boy, instead of girl. I always hate doing that. Anyway, congratulations. I know it's
Thank you.
exciting time and a blessing. So yeah, let's go into the next part. Sorry. Um, all right. So over about 2 weeks ago,
Mhm.
you fought on Region 3, where you were
Yep.
supposed to fight.
Yes.
Unfortunately, your opponent dropped off. However, Josh Weems stepped in. You got to do a grappling match. You did come out with that win.
Mhm.
Even though it wasn't an MMA fight, which you were hoping it to be. What was going through your mind going against such a seasoned fighter?
So I was actually really excited about the even though it was like I want it was would have been cool to do that fight, having the experienced opponent. Josh Williams has been in the UFC. He's someone that I have a ton of respect for, someone that I've followed his career for a long time. And we have mutual friends that we've never actually got to train together, but he's someone that I've followed for a long time. So I was actually really excited to get to compete against him. Dylan hadn't fought in a long time and didn't have a great amateur record. So it's like, even though I didn't get to do a fight, I got to compete against someone who's like a really high level person that I respect a lot. So I was excited about the opportunity to compete against him.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh Weems is a great guy. He's actually a really good friend of mine. Him and his
Mhm.
family were really close. When I saw him on the car, I was like, "Oh, this is awesome."
Yeah.
When I've known just from the research I've done for you on you with doing Raging stuff, um, you've been doing it for such a long time. He's been doing it
Mhm.
for such a long time, and just the experience he has and have talked to you before, it was cool. Kind of getting that vibe that like. Um, you would enjoy that,
Yeah.
like you said, the respect and everything. So that was awesome. So, sorry, I'm trying to word questions into. I'm terrible at it sometimes. I do apologize.
It's
Um,
okay.
so I have a little information that you just talked to me,
Hmm.
told me about what this if you would have fought MMA,
Hmm.
this would have been a really special fight for you. Even though you didn't get to do MMA, a
Hmm.
decision has been made after this grappling match.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. So yeah, I had decided whenever I took this fight, it's a decision that I've thought about for a while. But when I took this fight, I told myself, win, lose, fight, no fight, whatever happens, this is going to be the last time I do this. Um, the main driver in that decision is whenever I was, well, you can take it back a couple of years when I was 19 and I walked into Gladiators Academy for the first time. I've been training for a long time already. Tim, on after my first practice, grabbed me and said, "Hey, you're really good at this. If you never have kids, you'll be a world champion."
Sounds
and
like something Tim would say.
and he was definitely right because whenever it was just me, the sacrifices of dealing with the long-term effects of MMA and the possibility of having brain damage and going through stuff like that was worth it for me. I
Yeah,
was willing to go through that to achieve what I wanted to achieve in the sport. But whenever I had Walker, our son, that was whenever I started to like realize like, okay, well, there's a not only is there somewhere I'd rather be than in the gym right now, which is would never the case before in my life, but also I'm willing to go through this myself because of my dreams, but I'm not willing to put my children through the consequences of it. So even though it was worth it for me, it wasn't worth it for me to put them through it. If that makes sense.
yeah, absolutely. I I obviously didn't want to know the reasoning until we got into the
Mhm.
podcast.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for you for that. 'Cause I mean, you
Mhm.
see fighters who do it, and I
Yeah.
don't say they don't care about their family, but I don't know if they always think about that.
Mhm.
What would happen if you got seriously injured or
Mhm.
something were to happen. Um, and that's definitely a very valid and understandable reason.
Yeah.
And along with, both your wife are so young, your
Mhm.
Walker is
About
almost
to make a year.
about to be, so he's not even a year yet,
Yep.
and you're having another one on the way.
Mhm.
So I think that's something that's definitely like understandable. And I know we just talked a little bit before you will still coach,
Yeah.
and be at the gym. And
Mhm.
um, so, yeah, not that my opinion matters, but I respect that. It's
Thank you.
I I think that's awesome and I think courageous.
Mhm.
You know, giving up what you want, and not in a bad way, but giving up what you want to do for your family. There's
Mhm.
nothing ever wrong with that. You know what I mean?
And I feel like that's my that's the sacrifice I'm making, but everyone makes the sacrifice. Like if you are someone who decides to pursue fighting and decides to do this for a long time, you're sacrificing your health in order to provide for your family. Even like like even in a regular family, like my dad was not around often. He was at work in another state most of my life, and that was never easy on us, and it was definitely not easy on him. And I can see that now as a father, where it's like he took he sacrificed a lot of time away from us in order to provide better for us. So it's comes with being a parent, and that sacrifice looks different for everyone. But for me, when I realized that I wasn't willing to put my family through it, I was like, well, I'm not just gonna do it. I'm not just gonna do it halfway. If I'm not gonna try to be the best in the world at it, then I'm not gonna do it.
Absolutely. That's totally understandable. I do wish you the best of luck and whatever you do outside of,
Mhm.
if you're going to do anything outside the gym or if you're going to coach full time.
Mhm.
I guess that could be my next question. Do you plan
Yeah.
on coaching full time or do you plan on looking to do something else?
So I do still want to compete in grappling competition where I'm not getting punched in the head all the time. I love to compete. I've been a competitor my whole life. I started sports when I was 3 years old, 4 years old, and the only time since then that I've been like a year of my life without competing is the year that I went to boot camp, combat training, job school, and I was in like gone doing stuff for the military that whole year. Every other year from 4 years old to now 22 years old, I've competed, and I plan on continuing to compete for a long time. Also coaching. There's guys at the gym that um I know have a lot of potential and they love it, and as long as they can have the desire to learn, I want to be there to teach them. And same thing on the fitness side. I work at Ignite Fitness and Train Unique. Continuing to invest in people there. Continuing to invest in my business. Groundworks, the grappling promotion that I own. Just growing competitors and athletes in any way that I can. Really.
Oh, I love that. Um, I know you do too. So I'm super excited to still be able to, keep up with you, watch you compete, and still doing what you do. I do want to jump into the fitness center that you're talking about and the
Mhm.
unique. Talk to me how that started and what your goal is in there.
How that started for me.
Yeah.
So when I moved to Lafayette, I didn't know a ton of people. The only people that I knew from Lafayette were Tim. I've known him since I was a kid. I would go to his seminars and stuff like that. And the couple people from the gym that I had competed against in the past, like my MMA coach DeAndre. I've known him since I was 15. I actually fought him in a Muay Thai smoker when I was 15 years old, and it was not a good time for me at all. Um, so I knew him, and I knew one other guy that I had competed against. But besides that, I was kind of on my own whenever I started over here, and whenever I started training consistently with the MMA team, I noticed that all of the fighters that were consistently winning and were professionals, they had they were good physical shape. They took their training seriously. They took their nutrition seriously. They like behaved like professionals. All went to Ignite Fitness. So I was like, well, obviously they're doing something right over there, and I got to get over there. So after my first MMA fight, I ended up getting with Claire, and getting a membership at Ignite Fitness, which is the strength conditioning and nutrition gym that I currently work at. I started doing personal training with her before work. At the time, I was working in a shop. I'd have to get there at 8 a.m. So I'd go to the gym at 6 a.m. to work with her one on one. I absolutely could not afford it at the time with my $12 an hour I was making, but I made the maybe not smart investment in myself to to say, you know what, this is what I need to do. So I'm gonna do what I have to do to make this happen, and racked up a good bit of credit card debt in the meantime. But
Oh,
but
those credit
now,
card debts.
yep. But now, because of that, I'm a much better athlete than I was. She taught me how to be a professional. She taught me how to eat, train, sleep, recover, behave like a professional. And I fell in love with being a part of that gym. And after doing it for a few years, she brought up the prospect of me coaching. And I'd heard her tell the same thing to other people in the past, and them kind of just like take that information and do nothing with it. And she brought the idea to me, and I immediately started like doing research. I found courses to do. I studied. I got a personal training certification, and I sent it to her. And I said, and I told her like, I'm ready. I'm ready to go whenever you are. And that's how I got hired at Ignite Fitness. And Train Unique runs out of the same building. And so whenever I got the job at Ignite Fitness, Damon hired me for Train Unique as well. Um, and I just started working at both gyms and ended up eventually quitting my full-time job just to coach at the gym.
And if I'm not mistaken, the Train Unique is uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Centered around those with special needs.
Yes. Yep.
Um,
So
Go ahead.
basically any diagnosis, yes. So physical diagnosis, spinal cord injuries, things like that. Mental diagnosis, autism, excuse me, Down syndrome, any physical mental disability we work with.
What? How does that make you feel as a person? Because I mean, it is so hard to find people who truly want to work in any type of special education.
Mhm.
Being someone who does work in special education as a full-time job, it definitely takes a certain type of person, and not just in the school setting, but any kind of setting. Um, so, what does that feel like knowing that like you're giving these kids, adults, and another way to express themselves and learn something, um, and not have to feel embarrassed by it just because they're struggling on how to do it? I'm sure
Yeah,
they look up to you and all the other coaches.
yeah. It's really it's a cool vibe at the gym, honestly. Like it's a super rewarding job, but then you go over there and like I get a lot from it too. Like these are the happiest people you will ever meet. Like it's just you go into the gym and it's just vibes all the time. Everyone's having a great time. Everyone's high-fiving each other, telling each other how they're doing an amazing job. Like it's the most fun you'll have working out at a gym. So it's super rewarding, but at the same time, it's just so much fun to do.
That's awesome. I'm sure it is. I Next time in Louisiana, I need to come check it out because that just
Yeah,
sounds amazing.
absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
I love that you guys do that for them and give
The
them that. Go ahead.
one of the owners of RFC, Damon Vincent, is the owner of Train Unique as well.
Okay, I'll have to
Yep.
hit him up next time I'm down there. Then, 'cause I totally love to come check that out.
Yep.
Um, Jumping back just to a couple more questions
Mhm.
before we get off of here. Um, Now that maybe, and even though you're not fighting, but you're still going to be grappling,
Yep.
as a while you were fighting as an MMA fighter, what had been the most rewarding aspect of being a fighter?
Um, Definitely a lot to do with the people. Just getting to see the impact that you have on people that you just they just are friends with you on Facebook that you don't even really like talk to that have messaged you and be like, hey, thank you, you're like inspiring me to start martial arts, or you're inspiring me to like do something that I've been wanting to do. Like through the work that I'm doing and the journey that I've been on, I've indirectly touched a lot of lives, and that is absolutely huge to me. And then personally, like just the things that I've learned about myself through fighting. um Being in a hard fight will show you who you are really fast. I've been in fights where like one of my amateur fights, my nose was broken 30 seconds into the first round. We ended up fighting for 3 rounds, and I remember deep into the second round, he started to set up an armbar off of his back, and my brain told me, you can just leave your arm there right now. He'll lock up this armbar, you can tap, you can tell all your friends and family that you made a technical error, and go home and be out of all of this pain, and no one will have to know that you're a quitter. And going through that and dealing with those emotions in real time and then coming out of the other side of it and being like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like dealing with those emotions in real time is like that's how you grow as a person happening all in like a 6 minute or 7 minute fight. Like I experienced so much personal growth and learned so much about who I am and what I can endure just because this guy punched me in the face a lot of times in 7 minutes.
And I get that a lot, it's like when you go through this, especially your first time out there, you learn so much about yourself.
Yep.
And as you continue to do it, I mean, I feel like this is one sport that just continuously tests you and makes you grow and makes you,
Mhm.
you know, because after every fight, whether you win or lose, there's always something you go back. No one does a fight perfectly,
Mhm.
unless you knock someone out in 10 seconds. And, there's never that much to
Yeah.
change. But when you go back, I mean, there's typically something to always change. So you're
Mhm.
always growing, you're always evolving as a fighter. I know in your case as a grappler, it's just always, and that's one thing I love about this sport. It's always making people grow and learn.
Mhm.
Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah. Next question. Looking back at all your fights, or matches, what has been the most difficult one or like difficult who's been ugh, words who have you come against someone who's been your most difficult opponent, and how did you face it when you were in the cage?
So yeah, back to that fight I was just talking about. His name's Derek Rawls. He's the reason my nose doesn't sit straight anymore. And you will never forget the name or face of the guy who changed the way your face looks. Um, so
That is
he
very true.
yes. Yeah, he permanently changed the structure of my face, and I'll always appreciate him for it. I love that guy. Um, but that was definitely the hardest fight I've ever been in, like I just talked about. And even going into the fight, like I had a pretty rough weight cut. The leading up to the fight wasn't ideal. Um, I made the weight. I rehydrated. Going into the fight, I already like wasn't feeling great. Like the rehydration didn't go as well as it should have. And whenever whenever I was walking into the venue, I was like, man, I might be walking. I might be walking into getting knocked out in front of my friends and family today. Like that was the thought that like that was the where I was mentally going in to the day of the fight. I spent a lot of nights in that camp leading up to that fight going, man, it's a very real possibility that this guy just beats me up in front of everyone that I know, because this was my only time that I ever fought in front of my hometown because I'm from Houma, Louisiana. That was the only fight I ever had in Houma, Louisiana. And he's a very, very good opponent. He's a very good boxer, purple belt in jiu-jitsu. Um, we were both 3-1 as amateurs at the time. So he leading up to was definitely a lot of struggles, and I pushed myself really hard in that camp and grew a lot because of that. And then but in the fight, there was that moment where like I thought about quitting, and I had I think the only reason I didn't is because I had that conversation with myself beforehand where it's like, hey, no matter what happens, like for these 9 minutes, you're in it. Like you can get you can get dropped, you can get things broken, and you're gonna find a way to get them.
And you
Eventually,
did.
you're gonna get them. And then 7.5 ish minutes into the fight, I found the armbar and ended up finishing the fight. But the whole time, like besides that one moment where I was like, you can just end this, this all be over right now. The whole time I was like, he was piecing me up, and I was like, I'm gonna get you eventually. I'm gonna get you.
And that's sure about to say, I mean, you had those thoughts, and like I say, it goes back to growing. Like you said, you could have tapped out, you could have just let him do it.
Mm,
Um, and if I'm not mistaken, it was 46 seconds into the third round.
okay, yeah, that
That
sounds about
Yeah,
right.
and that where he was gonna put you in an arm bar, but he said, this is going the other way, and so come around and you
Yeah,
got him in the arm bar,
yeah.
and that just shows like and for anybody who's new, like you just can't give up, you
Hmm.
know. Um, in the middle of a fight, I mean, you see it. We saw it at Ragin FC. Um, you know, one of the was it co-main, you know, he gave up and just threw it
Yeah.
in. Here you are in one of your most difficult fights.
Hmm.
And you told yourself you're not going to give up. I can, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Um, that's awesome. Which leads me to one of my final questions.
Mhm.
Um, what advice would you give someone, say they walk into your gym for the first time, they're not
Mhm.
sure what they want to do, if they want to fight, if they just want to grapple, if they just want to train, um, what would you tell them?
Just enjoy it. Just enjoy the process. I didn't go into doing martial arts thinking that I was going to be a professional fighter. I went in because it was something that I was passionate about. And what I've learned is through coaching, through business, through martial arts is like if you're if you have something that you desire or something that you're really passionate about and you just chase that thing, then you're not gonna go wrong. Even though it's not gonna take me where I thought it would. I thought I was gonna be a world champion in MMA, and now I'm shifting that towards grappling and being a coach. And but still, through the process of chasing something I desired, I changed my life. Um, I could still be in Houma, Louisiana, working a 9 to 5 job for the rest of my life and wondering what would happen if I would have tried this. Um, and through just chasing that dream, I've found myself in a great place where I have an amazing family that supports me, and I'm happier than I've ever been, and I get to do things I love every day.
That is awesome advice. And I really am, I mean, I've had respect for you as a fighter already, but as a person, and you've earned even more respect. And I really loved speaking with you tonight. Thank you. Had
Thank
some
you.
amazing things to share. And I'm just that just this your advice, and hopefully this helps someone um, going through maybe a similar situation or a new fighter or something.
Mhm.
Uh, so I'm really glad we got to do this. Um, Anything you want to add in before we jump off?
Just thank you to everyone who's supported along the way. It's been an amazing journey. This has been the best years of my life, fighting professionally, and definitely was an easy choice. Whenever I realized the fight wasn't happening, I definitely broke down a little bit because I thought, I'm gonna have that closure, that one last moment in the cage, and then that didn't happen. So it's been tough for sure, but I'm doing what's best for what I believe is best for my family, for better or for worse. And I appreciate everyone that supported along the way.
Absolutely. Well, Trey, thank you so much for joining me again and sharing your inspirations and your journey and also this news. I hate to not be able to watch you fight again, but I will definitely still be keeping track, watching your grappling matches and seeing you grow as a grappler and as a coach, and as a husband and a father. Uh, Again, congratulations on your new one coming. Have you found out if it's boy or girl yet?
We have not. We are about 10 weeks, so I think they do the blood test at 12 weeks, so a couple weeks, and then we'll plan a little reveal. And then
Well,
we'll be ready to go.
that's awesome. Well, Amy is her name.
Yep, Amy's my
Well,
wife.
congratulations to you and Amy. Definitely excited to see. I know it's months away, but I always love baby pictures.
Yeah.
Um, Good luck to her and you, um, and thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.